Hi and welcome to the Azam Shop channel on YouTube. I'm your host Muhammad Azam, and in this screencast I'm going to show you a new feature of iOS 5, which is UIView Controller Containment. So when you're developing for the iPhone, you have a very small real estate, right? And you usually, if you want to display more items, you have to drill it down. You have to perform a hierarchy or a tree view. But in iPad, you have a much bigger real estate, so you can show many different things. Like a dashboard, you can show different things at the same time. Okay, so we're going to build a very simple dashboard, and since I'm only familiar with Cricket, I'm going to use Cricket the game as an example. We are going to have two sections in our dashboard, and one will be saying, let's say, Pakistan versus England. The other one will be like India versus Australia, and you can quickly look at both. If you're using that application in your iPad, you can quickly look at the dashboard and say, okay, this is the score of this, okay, this is the latest news about that, right? So let's get started. This is our basically iPad in Simulator or in Designer View, and this is in Orientation Landscape. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a UI view over here. All right, and just going to resize this, and you can display as many as you want, right? These small sections. We are just going to display two of them. So if I go over here, I'm just going to align it over here, right? Here we go. So these are two different sections. Now you can assign these any values, right? I'm just going to go over here and say all right, so I'm just going to say over here, this is an IV outlet, it's a UI view, and section 1. You can come up with a much better name than section 1, right? And you should. Alright, so here we go, property outlet UI view, and you can have section number 2. We are going to call the section number 1 the one on the right hand side, and section number 2, of course, is the one on the left hand side. We're just going to go over here and create the properties. So section 1 and section 2. Okay, section 1 can display basically anything, right? So I just created, let's say, this one, top 5 teams. All right, and we can display anything that you want. So top 5 teams, what I'm going to do is just going to write it over here, top 5 teams. All right, and you can add another one, not the group, let's delete that, new file, UI view controller, and you can also display the table view controller, but we are just going to stick with the UI view controller, and you can say latest, I don't know, latest news, whatever, latest news controller. Here we go. So we have latest news controller. Go ahead and set the orientation to landscape. Here we go, and UI label, and just put the label right over here, and you can display anything that you want. It will just behave like a normal UI view controller, but I'm just going to say latest news, and this can be about anything, right? So here we go. So we created two different basically views. All right, if you want, you can also change the color. I'm just going to call it, let's say, blue, and just this one, just for fun. I mean, you're not going to do that, hopefully not. I mean, the colors look pretty ugly. So you have created two different view controllers, top 5 teams controller and a latest news controller. Now we will go to our main file, which is view controller, and we are going to just simply import these things. And now we already have a section 1 and section 2, but I don't think they are mapped together correctly. Here we go. Section number 1 is the one on the right hand side, and section number 2 is the one on the left hand side. Alright, and let's close that. Alright, now what? So we're going to go over here and create our section. So let's say top 5 teams controller, top 5 controller equal to top 5 controller, and we already have section number 1, so I'm just going to say top 5 controller dot view dot frame equal to section, or you can say self dot section 1 dot, what is it, bounds? Yes, bounds. Okay, now the next thing you can do is you can actually add it. So I'm just going to say self dot section number 1 add subview and top 5 controller dot view. And the new feature that we talk about is adding the child view controller. So you can add a child view controller so that that particular section of the page that you are displaying, like top 5 teams or top 5 matches or whatever, that will be controlled by the top 5 teams controller. Alright, let's run this. And here we go. So now on the right hand side, since we injected only the right hand side, section number 1, which is representing the right hand side, you can see it says top 5 teams. Alright, and in the same way you can do the other one also. So what is the other one? The latest news something? Latest news controller, latest news controller. And it's also a good idea, if you have a lot of content, so it's a good idea to go into a top 5 teams controller or those child controllers like latest news controller and put all the stuff, like all your controls, inside a scroll view control so that your area is scrollable. If you put inside one of the sections, if you put a UI table view controller, if you display a table, it will automatically scroll, since the table already has a UI view, a UI scroll control, UI scroll view. So now we can say what? Latest news controller dot view dot frame self dot section number 2 dot bounds. Okay, what happened over here? Alright, so this will be small. Here we go. And we can say self dot section number 2 add subview, and the subview will be latest this controller dot view, and self add child view controller, which is latest news controller. So here we go. So you have 2 different sections. They both belong to a different view controller and handled by different view controller, and they both are displayed in the basically a UI view controller using the add child view controller, the method. Right? So this is a very good functionality. You can, if you are running a dashboard for a company, you can, project status or whatever you want to display. And I already have written an article on it. Article ID is 848, and you can see that we created kind of like a dashboard type system, and all of these are UI table view controller. I wonder if the source is available for download. Oh, here we go. So we do have the source, so you can download it and you can see what is going on. All right, hope you like it. Thank you very much for watching this video, and there are a lot of videos to come in the future, so stay tuned. Thank you very much.